Alexandra Truitt, I gotta ask you first and foremost, how many people call you Alexandra, or do you prefer Allie?
It's mostly just my mom when I'm in trouble who calls me Alexandra at this point.
All right, you're a two-time Paralympic silver medalist. You're a Yale grad where you were a four-year letter winner. Your life has been pretty busy to this point and pretty successful.
It has been. I'm very lucky, and honestly, the support around me is what's gotten me to where I am in life, so I'm mostly just lucky that I have those people around me.
So you graduate from Yale and then you have your incident, your attack. How much of that do you remember and how much do you think about it, or do you just try to put it out of your mind?
I remember a lot of it because I was conscious for the whole attack, so, that was really hard for me at the start, and, I have recurring moments of grief or memories that pop back up. So it's definitely something that I'm not actively focused on thinking about every day, but, life as an amputee forces you to confront that reality quite often.
When you were in the hospital after you were a medevac flight to Miami, how soon until you started thinking about getting back in the pool, so you started competing again, and when did Paralympics become a thing?
Yeah, I think in the hospital for me, what I realized were those were really dark days. I had just gone through a shark attack, fighting to survive in the water, life-saving surgeries, blood transfusions, an amputation on my 23rd birthday.
Yeah.
They were really dark days and really hard and sad times. And I had a million questions about what my future was going to look like. But I also really wanted to center myself on the gratitude that I was alive and I was going to make the most of the second chance at life that I had been given. And so for me, that kind of dictated my mindset as I returned home from the hospital. And a big thing for me was, there's some of this stuff that I've lost in the attack, like my foot, that I'm never getting back. But there are pieces of it that I can fight for. And a big one was my love of the water and leaving, after the attack, my latest memory of the sound of the water was one where I was fighting for my life. And so I didn't have a good, feeling associated with the water anymore. And
Right.
I grew up on the water. I grew up as a swimmer. I love the water, like every form, shower, baths, pools. It was just like my happy place. And so I really wanted to fight to have that back. So truthfully, like the path to the Paralympics started with a quest to regain my love of the water, a quest to get some cardio in, which I was sorely missing, as a lifelong athlete. But it unfolded into the decision to delay my post grad job and instead try to make the Paralympics, which I will say I acknowledged was a really ambitious goal with an absurd turnaround because trials were, just a year after the attack and
Right.
amputation. But one that I'm so grateful that I made because I truly believe having the goal of trying to make the Paralympics was the most healing decision I could have made for my recovery, my self acceptance. It's completely expedited this healing journey for me.
I know your family all very successful in their own right. Did the doctors and the surgeons say, "You know what? This is a great idea. Let's get you back in the pool. Let's go for the Paralympics," or did they say, "You know what? Slow your roll a little bit, young lady"?
Kind of a mix of both. I have incredible doctors, which I'm so lucky for. I think that, one of my surgeons was really great about because I was so early on. Like I was at my first para swim meet 3.5 months out from the attack
Right.
and amputation. So I still had, newly healing nerve endings and open wounds. And so he was incredible at helping me kind of manage how I was going to not get infection and really take care of like the skin and all of that. I wore like basically a sock over my leg for the first several months of all competitions and practices. And then my other doctor was amazing because I think internally was really excited for me to have the goal and knew how healing it could be, but also wanted me to understand what that looked like. And he raised such an interesting point for me where he was like, just understand that in this first year, it's an incredible decision. You are going to be surrounded by amazing people. At the same time, you are choosing a lifestyle where you're living a little bit more in your disability. Every day, you're taking your leg off to get in the pool. You're swimming and looking at a leg that you don't have. Whereas if you went to work, you'd kind of put your leg on and go about your day, and there would be challenges, but you're not faced with it as much. And I was so grateful for him to even let me like think through that because it was something that I hadn't really thought about at that point. I was just kind of excited about this like what if goal. So they were absolutely incredible. And then once I made the decision, so supportive the whole time, just checking in, helping me get all my medical forms, like all throughout the path. They've been such incredible support systems for me.
Was there any doubt, and I was fortunate enough, full disclosure, to call your races during the trials in Minneapolis. Was there any doubt in your mind that you were gonna make this team and you were gonna be in Paris last summer?
Honestly, yes. And I think truthfully, a lot of that stemmed from how quick of a turnaround it was. I knew I was trying to pull a rabbit out of a hat. Like to recover from an attack and amputation, learn how to use a prosthetic, physically and emotionally heal, and then also do the training needed to qualify. And like, just for people to kind of understand better, something that I didn't know. I always respected the strength, the mental fortitude, all of it about Paralympians. I don't think I realized how fast they are. And so to qualify for my classification, I had to swim times that were really close to the times that I needed to swim to be recruited to swim D1 at Yale with 2 feet. And now I'm having to do it with one. And that for me was crazy. I knew it was this really big challenge. I think that, for me, I put a lot of faith into the work that I put in day to day. And so there was a lot of new media attention I was getting, a lot of external pressures I had never felt before heading into that meet, but also recentering myself on all the work I had put in that year. And it was a lot of work, really helped. And also centering myself on the why, like, why am I doing this? And the idea that I could use my story and my journey to help other people is so healing and so special that that really kind of drove me when I felt the nerves of, was I going to make it or not?
You had such a great support system. I mean, I remember your parents in Minneapolis. The Team Truwit trucker hat's still a big seller. Jessica Long, a Paralympic legend. Rowdy Gaines was in your corner. So many people were just like wanted to be part of Team Truwit. Did that make all the difference in the world for you?
It truly did, and I know that, like, it's a cliche to kind of say it, but it's so true that, like, the people you have around you, the support system, wherever you can find that, really makes a difference, and I would talk about that in the pool, I would talk about that out of the pool, like, I, amidst this really unlucky thing that happened to me, am so lucky for who I'm surrounded by, and my mom always tells me, like, "If you wanna ask why me in both ways." Like, "Why me? Why did I get attacked by a shark?" And that stinks, and why that happened to me, but also why did I get blessed with an incredible system of family and friends and doctors and all these people who are here to help me. And throughout my journey, they've been there every single step of the way. My coach, like my list goes on, and it's truly made all the difference in where I am today, where I was making the team, where I was before even trying for the Paralympics. Like they are at every single corner and step that I'm at too.
That Jody Truitt's a wise woman. I will just say that. Okay,
Yeah.
so you get through trials, you make the team, you watch the Olympics take place. So you see all the swimming happening at that amazing arena, La Défense, and then it's your turn. What was it like opening ceremony, being in the pool for the first time, or your whole experience in Paris?
That was the biggest stage I've ever competed on. And I will say I think Paris did an absolutely incredible
Yeah.
job at making that feel like the world stage that it was. Like, opening ceremonies were surreal, and for me to think that a year before that, I was learning how to take my first steps on a prosthetic leg, and so just in pain and in fear and worried about what my future is gonna look like. Fast forward a year and I'm taking my first steps down the Champs-Elysees at opening ceremonies as a Paralympian. Like, that is wild. So I think thinking about my own journey, also being surrounded by Team USA athletes and wearing my Team USA opening ceremonies gear, and all of it was just the most special moment. Leaving opening ceremonies and walking out to all of like hundreds and hundreds of Parisian supporters who had come out to cheer for us on our walk back to the bus after it was over. Like, all of the moments of opening ceremonies were insanely just special and made us feel so welcomed and celebrated. And then I felt like that energy carried through the entire meet, the entire time in Paris for me. That arena was incredible. And to see, packed stands of
Yeah.
20,000 fans coming out for the Paralympics is so amazing. And it made us so excited to race and to perform too.
And what was great about that from our perspective was it wasn't just day one, it was through the entire meet. Every single day was a hot ticket. You come out with a pretty lofty goal of all the events you swam in. Team USA did really well. You come away with a silver medal both in the 400 free and the 100 back. As you look forward now to Los Angeles, you were two-time silver medalist in Paris. What's the goal for Los Angeles?
I think that for, leaving Paris, what I felt and what a lot of the Team USA athletes there felt, it's one thing to hear about what it's going to be like to have home games and to kind of conceptually think about it and feel excited. It's another to
Right.
be at a games and notice what it feels like to see all the French flags, and all the way they went crazy for the French athletes was amazing and made me like excited for those athletes too. So to think that now in LA, we're all going to get that as US athletes on home turf, with that support, I'm excited to see what all of the US athletes do when we get to feel that, in our own country. It's like a really special thing to be able to have so soon
If
also.
if my math's correct, you'll still be in your 20s when Los Angeles comes around. And is it true that you keep your silver medals from Paris in a beret that you bought for your dog?
Yes. My brother loves to dress up the dogs, and I needed somewhere to put them so they wouldn't, like, clink when I carried them, and it turned out perfect. They fit great.
All right, so you leave Paris, great experience, Team USA. The swimming was amazing. You guys were awesome. And then not many people leave Paris with an invitation from the biggest movie star in the world, Tom Cruise. Can you please tell us about the invite you got from Tom Cruise?
That was such a treat. He's a big athlete himself, he does all his own stunts. He's a huge I think he really respects sports in general, and he surprise called me the night before my 400 freestyle, and he was so supportive, I think saying, 1, you've already won just by being there and by facing your loss the way that you have, and so really take that into your races, and then 2, would you like to come after the Paralympics for a visit to set? And it was so cool, so generous, and so kind of him. And like, some I can't even call it a dream come true because everything here I never even dreamed possible for
Yeah.
myself. But the whole thing was so amazing.
So what was it like? Do you get a cameo in the next Mission Impossible?
I don't know. Maybe you need to work on that.
All right, but outside the pool, you got a full-time job now. You're in the city. Tell me a little bit about also Truwit's Treats because we really want to bring you on board as the official food sponsor of this sporting planet.
Oh my gosh, I will do that gladly. Truwit's Treats is my baking business that I started in recovery. I found the kitchen so therapeutic for me, so meditative. This place where I could just focus on what I was doing and not really think about doctor appointments I had coming up or different things that were stressing me out. And so I started baking a lot. And in the beginning, I would leave it all around the house. And my parents were like, you need to get this out of the house. We keep eating it. So I started giving it to everyone who was just making a difference in my life and helping me. Doctors, my swim coach, the lifeguards at the pool I trained at. And from there kind of unfolded into this baking business. And for me, I absolutely love it. Anytime I have a reason to bake is such a happy moment for me because it's just such freedom in the kitchen to be creative, to kind of relieve all of my stress of learning
Right.
life as an amputee. So I would gladly do it. I have so much fun baking.
And then you start a nonprofit, stronger than you think.org. What was the impetus behind that and how did you get involved in it?
Yeah. So it's something that I'm really excited about. It is in its early stages, but I think at this point we have enough funding in the foundation to give its first prosthetic leg by Valentine's Day, which is going to be just the most special day for me. I started it, I feel like for me, a lot of my story doesn't make sense why it happened to me. What does make sense is helping other people. And so this thing that I can't, quite put a reason to starts to make a little bit of sense if I could use it to help other people. And in coming into the world of prosthetics, I realized just how expensive prosthetics are. And life as an amputee is hard enough that we shouldn't also have to focus on the finances behind that to even just have mobility and quality of life. So that was kind of the driver of it in the beginning. And I turned it into my foundation, stronger than you think.org. It is supporting 3 main pillars, and I call them the pillars that saved me. So it's water safety, para activities, and then providing prosthetics to people in need. And it is such a healing thing for me. I've been doing a lot of speaking opportunities, which I also find healing, and people are saying it's helping them. And the funds from that also go into the foundation. I got to put a lot of my medal money into the foundation. And for me, it's something that I'm so excited to continue to grow, continue to have impact with. And I've been the recipient of so much incredible help. And I've been so lucky that I can afford prosthetics that I want to be able to pay that forward as well.
That's amazing. I've got to ask you really a big question, and that is what would be your message to people that are going through something either similar to what you're going through or a life changing incident? And it's just at your darkest moments when you were in the hospital to where you are now. I mean, I think there's groundswell for Ali Truitt to run for president of the United States. I mean, the opportunities just everyone just is so enamored by what you've overcome and what you've accomplished, and you have your whole life ahead of you. What is your message to those people possibly going through dark times?
I think my biggest message is what I named the foundation, which is we're all stronger than we think. So, my message to people would be you are so much stronger than you think. You have so much more in you than you think you do. And when I think back to my early dark days, I would have never guessed this is where I would be. But like unlocking our mind to the possibility of what a new life could look like or post trauma, and allowing yourself to believe that you have more in you to give, more in you to bounce back. Like we all have the capacity to do that. And so believe it, know it, and make actions that support a belief in that.
Do you think sometimes your loss has been very difficult for you, obviously, in so many ways, psychologically, physically, but it has benefited so many other people that it's like, wow, I lost this, but look what I'm giving forward now.
That's what I really try to center myself on. And again, something that I never expected as I started this journey was like, I'm going to turn this into something that could help other people. But the more that I hear from other people, and that's like mothers DMing me or people writing notes, whatever it is of someone going through a hardship, a loss, a trauma, that my words have resonated with them, or my story or my journey has given them hope in theirs. That is such a privilege and a gift that I will never take for granted, and that I'm going to use every opportunity I have to continue to help other people if that's, what's working. So advocacy, representation in Sports Illustrated swimsuit, the foundation, what other avenues I have to use, that is a big gift and privilege. And I'm honored that that could be something that, my story and what's happened to me is used to help other people.
Future goals. What do you want to do outside the pool once your athletic career is over? Are we looking at politics?
Right now, I'm back full time in consulting, and I am excited to continue my advocacy work. So I would say the foundation for me is a big goal in the future to continue to grow. I think it would be like a hug to my heart if it was a known name and helping millions of people. And then I would say also outside of that, I am spending this year learning to regain some other life loves. The water was first, now it's running. I ran a marathon with my mom 10 days before the attack. And I just got a prosthetic blade and I'm learning how to run. I would absolutely love if a marathon was in my future. I think that would be really cool. So that's kind of a sooner-ish goal that I'm working towards as I learn to run.
Well, when you complete that marathon, will you come back on this sporting planet and tell us how it went?
I will, yes.
Okay, rapid fire. We're gonna get you out here on this. Just a couple quick questions, quick answers. Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue.
It was so special. To think that I'm the second Paralympian and third amputee ever in that issue is absolutely amazing and makes me feel so honored to be alongside incredible Olympians as a Paralympian.
Explain this. Your love of cheese balls.
Oh my gosh. Okay, this is a long answer, but I'll give it. Basically, my mom, when we were little, if she would have a really bad day, we would come home and she'd be in a bubble bath watching a good TV show with a bucket of cheese balls, the Utz cheese balls. And we all associated, like, oh, if you're having a bad day, like me and my three brothers, have some cheese balls. And it's true, like, it's pretty impossible to be sad with cheesy orange dust all over your fingers. So growing up, we always had like a like in case of emergency bucket of cheese balls. And it kind of this year, like I have had so many cheese balls. The day of my surgery, they asked me what I wanted for my birthday dinner, and I was like, just a bucket of cheese balls. And then like every tearful moment this year, my mom will just bring over a little bowl of cheese balls. So I love them. I think it's really hard to be happy when you're licking orange dust off your fingers, and they're delicious and great.
The Truitt family credo, cheese balls cures all. And then finally, is it true you're a Jets fan? And if so, how hard has this year been for you?
I had so much fun. They invited Kate Douglas, who's an Olympic or phenom, and I to the game, and we got personalized jerseys, and we got to watch the game, and it was close, so they almost had it. But it was really fun to be able to be on field and cheer for them and all their efforts.
Allie Truitt, thanks so much for your time. We look forward to watching your success in the future.
Thank you so much for having me.